Action.
Right.
Hello, so our project is on climate change and its effects on banana production in Central America. I'm Braylee.
I'm Abby.
And I'm Miranda.
I was gonna hold.
Oh.
You have to click.
Yeah, okay. So apologies about that. In our abstract, we identified that climate change has an immense issue to the production of bananas and the economy that depends on this exported fruit in Central America. Environmental stressors on banana production can wreak havoc, such as changing weather patterns, drought, and rising temperatures. These stressors can lead to diminishment of banana production, a decrease in yield, and economic losses for farmers who are dependent on this crop for their livelihood and feeding their families. Our goal is to understand the potential effects climate change may pose on banana production through the usage of previously measured effects of warming and the predictions of temperature change. Some of the keywords that we identified were climate change, bananas, agriculture, Central America, and monoculture. In our introduction, we spoke about climate change and how it is raging worldwide, not just in Central America, but the agriculture sector is being threatened from a rise in temperature and unexpected weather patterns. Banana biodiversity as well, we touched on, because bananas are an primarily runs along the equator, which is tropical and humid regions of the world, which could see a decline with climate change looming. Banana resilience would require a change in venue, water conservation methods, and straying away from monoculture. Using a mixed methods approach in the cultivation of bananas could minimize the risk climate change poses upon them. Our study area is on Central America. It consists of the countries Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. Central America is situated between the Pacific Ocean and the Caribbean Sea. Central America consists of humid swamps, lowlands, and a majority of hilly and mountainous regions. Almost half of the population in Central America lives in rural areas, which leads them to depend on agriculturally based incomes. Central America also experiences frequent earthquakes and occasional volcanic eruptions as they have 40 volcanic cones in this area. In Central America, traditional tropical rainfall is experienced during the summer months, which is May to November, and their drier months are from January to March. The economy in Central America is largely based on exported goods, which is mainly coffee and bananas. They're also known for their maize and beef production. In Central America today, there's a poor governance and weak political institutions that have led to minimal development in many countries that make up this region. And due to their economy being largely exported goods, Central America is vulnerable to fluctuations from other international markets and natural disasters that would gravely impact their GDP. Like, say, an earthquake hit off the coast of Honduras, it could greatly impact those who are dependent on agriculture in that area.
For this research, we used a variety of different materials. They were all scholarly online databases, and they included peer-reviewed journals, online simulators, land monitoring services, and an interactive atlas. All databases discuss climate change, produce production, and Central America climate change effects that are being monitored currently. Majority of the articles discuss species distribution models to manage where species should and can grow across a certain space and time. We use the AOGCM, or the Atmospheric Ocean Global Climate Model, to understand how the atmosphere and climate will be projected into the future. It predicted different precipitation, temperatures, and wind at all different types of warmings. And we used the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the IPCC Interactive Atlas. It's the AR6 Atlas. They were able to predict different sorts of temperature and precipitation in the future. And then we also use the land cover map from Copernicus, and we're able to analyze different sorts of land covers, as you can see in the first image here. In Central America, majority of the land is going to be forest or cropland. That image is from 2019. We also use an En-ROAD simulator to analyze different policy changes and impacts that might be explored in the future. The image on the bottom is from the IPCC Interactive Atlas, and it is from 1995 to 2014 with a warming of 4 degrees Celsius. And as you can see, there is a negative change in precipitation in Central America, which will lead to drought. And overall, all of these materials that we used were aiming to provide historical information on temperatures, precipitation, and growing patterns. They all aimed to predict future climatic changes, and they all monitored any effects that climate change could propose on agriculture.
And then to transition into our results and discussion, this project taught us a lot over the completion of it, but that was not our main goal. We also wanted to educate others, which we did through the presentation of Student Scholar Day and this YouTube video. And one of the main things we hoped you learned was how climate change affects agriculture, including both crops and farmers. As we've covered, climate change will negatively affect the health of crops as they will have lower survival rates, and climate change will also negatively affect the health and well-being of banana farmers in Central America as they will be losing their livelihood, or they will have to dump all of their money into their crops to save them from a climate change future. And then another thing this project can teach people is how climate change will affect regions closer to the equator, as they will experience more extreme weather changes with way higher temperatures and changes in precipitation levels. Some of the challenges that bananas farmers and Central America may face is that bananas are a monoculture crop currently, meaning only one species gets planted. This is a problem because if a pest or disease gets introduced into a banana field, then it could wipe out the entire population versus just a portion of a species. And monoculture crops are also bad for the environment because they don't allow the soil to get a break between each season. So the nitrogen and phosphorus in the soil is being leached at a much higher rate. And then Central America faces challenges with their corrupt governmental structures, with governmental leaders that care more about profit than the well-being of the environment, which will stop them from sending aid to these banana farmers. They will just keep on running with the monopoly. And one more challenge that Central America faces is that they're close to the equator, which, as I just said, will experience more extreme climate change effects as they will have higher temperatures, more drought, less precipitation, all of that. And then some of the solutions that we discovered through these articles and interviews with experts is the climate smart agriculture approach, which is a holistic approach to farming that combines traditional farming methods such as crop rotation, community and cultural practices, and crop diversity, and it combines these with current scientific innovations such as overloading soil with nitrogen and phosphorus and drip irrigation systems. And then to go deeper into those traditional farming methods, crop diversity and crop rotation can fix a few of the issues that bananas present. Diversifying and rotating crops can lessen the susceptibility of pests or diseases wiping out an entire population. Rotating crops also protects the soil from nutrient leaching, and diversifying banana species is not a hard task at hand as it already exists in the world. When you go to an American grocery store, every banana is the same size, shape, and color. They're all cookie cutter bananas, but in Central America, that's not the way their bananas are sold. A lot of them are red or brown or smaller and spotty, but they taste pretty much the same, if not sweeter. And if we just drop the aesthetics, then all bananas can be sold in every grocery store. And then another solution is GMOs, which already currently exist in bananas as they have to travel long distances to reach the northern regions where they're sold. And if this is more of a solution, if we choose to not diversify or rotate crops, we'll have to overload bananas with even more GMOs to travel even further distances and to put up with higher heats and less precipitation. And one last solution that we present is reducing the effects of climate change. This can be done by reducing carbon emissions, reducing our reliance on non-renewable fuel sources, restoring agricultural lands back to what they once were and preserving the natural environment. And all of these will help to keep temperatures at a more manageable level as they are now, as it won't contribute to global warming as much.
We also do want to touch upon some limitations that we found while conducting our research on climate change and the impacts in Central America. One of those was the uncertainty of the future. Everything we used was predictions and models. We don't know the level of magnitude that climate change will impact the world, let alone Central America, as well as we are outsiders looking in towards this problem. We felt that as students from an American university, we cannot fully comprehend the repercussions that climate change will have culturally, economically, or politically in this region of the world. However, we hope that with the data at hand and the analysis we conducted, we hope to have aided in even a small step towards awareness on this important issue.
All right, so in conclusion, we found that there's an urgent need for some preemptive measures to ensure that the impacts of climate change do not cease banana production entirely, but ensure that there's development of bananas to survive into the future. You might be asking what preemptive measures. Honestly, there's no answer. We cannot predict what is going to be needed in the future because we can't exactly predict how the climate is going to change in the future. But starting to take some small steps and mixing some of the solutions that Bradley discussed earlier will take further steps towards keeping that species alive. And then finally, I'm just going to talk about some communications that we had with some experts. I talked with Brian Mechavina from Mac Endeavors. He's the CEO and founder of Mac Endeavors, and he also wrote an article that we used in our research paper. The article was Climate Change Driven Shifts in Extent and Location of Areas Suitable for Banana Production. And I talked with him a little bit on what his personal thoughts were and how he thinks we should go about this sort of issue. And he said that with current droughts, there will require irrigation systems and we need to incorporate principles of permaculture. He also said that migration of growing locations might be necessary. So taking the bananas and growing them in a new geographical location with a more suitable climate once the climate they're in right now changes too much might be necessary. And he also said that GMOs are going to provide growing capabilities. We're having a lot of technological advancements starting right now, especially with CRISPR and AI, and we need to use all of those to understand how to manage and work around climate change to continue the species development.
And we also conducted an in-person interview with Dr. Rebecca Williams, who is an ENS professor at Grand Valley State University. But before her career here, she was involved in the Peace Corps in Honduras, and she also did research outside of the Peace Corps, also in Honduras, which is part of our study area. And she researched how climate change will impact rural and indigenous farmers. These farmers that she interviewed and researched were not banana farmers specifically, but they were farmers facing the same challenges as they're in Central America, close to the equator. And some of the solutions that she provided us with to delve deeper in on were the resurgence of traditional agricultural practices, such as the climate smart agriculture approach, which combines these with current scientific innovations, as I had previously discussed.
These are our resources. Thank you.
Thank you.